You good, Anna?
Yeah, I'm just hitting record right now.
Should be good.
Sweet.
All right, everybody. Hey, we're live here on a Thursday, only a couple weeks away from Game of Thrones Season 7, and the hype is real, especially after this latest trailer, which a lot of people are calling the best Game of Thrones trailer ever. Now, maybe there's a little recency bias in there because every trailer is great. It's never been a trailer where I said, boy, that sucked. But this one was particularly exciting. So we're going to take a lot of questions. We're going to break it down, and we've got some special guests with us as well. First off, returning for Game of Thrones season, y'all haven't seen him in about a year. We got Sean of House Beard coming back. And on the other side of the internet, I'll say, we have our good friends from Game of Owns. We've got Zack and Hannah. Say hello.
Hello.
Hey.
Nice to be here. And thanks for coming on to our podcast as well for everyone listening. This is the amazing team of History of Westeros, who we have had the privilege of podcasting beside for years now, who we're actually going to be able to officially meet next week.
Yeah, it's really exciting, isn't it?
It's going to be awesome.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, this is a joint episode of Game of Owns and History of Westeros, which is fun. We have a great community that allows us to do things like this, just to hop on a call together, throw our video cameras and webcams up, get some headphones, and get some images, and we'll have a lot of fun with this. Speaking of a great community, only a couple weeks, less than a couple weeks. Well, we're like 9 days away from Con of Thrones, 8 days away. So all of us are going to be there, and we hope to see a lot of you guys there. How hype is everybody about Con of Thrones?
I have to be there on Tuesday, so it's like lesser for me.
You have to be there.
You have to be there on Tuesday.
Yeah.
I was trying to find a way that I could be there on Friday, but I found out that it wouldn't really be possible. But we'll be there early. And you guys will be, I'm excited. I'm so excited.
Yeah, we are too. It's going to be so much fun. The community is great. Being around a lot of people that love Game of Thrones and have an equal level of obsession is really just a unique experience that I can't really describe. It's just something you have to have for yourself. So hopefully we see as many of you there as possible.
I, by the way, have been to that venue before, and it's itself an attraction. It's really impressive.
Awesome.
It's unbelievable how it feels like you're in a theme park, and it kind of feels like they made a theme park for a convention for Game of Thrones. As far as the locations are concerned, we've got kind of a mix of the if we're talking about the TV show, if we look at interior locations like the stuff they shoot in Dorne, we're pretty much going to be walking in that. There's actually a place I told you about this. Aziz, that I wanted to hide behind a waterfall. I found a waterfall that you can hide behind.
Oh, really?
I did. There's a waterfall that you can hide behind, and so that's pretty cool. So it's full of surprises. There's lots of, I don't know. I know that Hannah's been doing nothing but planning pool parties for the weekend, and I don't know if Shay is not on camera, but I know she's got a lot of plans too. You guys are on a lot of panels. Yes,
we are. Yes, so Shay, of course, running production over here. She's just to my left, but production is a full-time job during this. During a live feed like this, she's taking questions, managing the chat room, managing our stream, so hard to also answer questions. Plus, we only have so much camera space here.
Usually I do all the production work, and now Shane is trying to steal my thunder out of nowhere.
Yeah, I know.
I feel like we need maps. The Game of Owns side of things need maps.
I'm just like in my kitchen. It's not. I feel so inadequate.
I have a dire wolf, but he's asleep over there. He might show up later. I'm not sure.
I wonder if we're always worried about our dire cats interfering with our streams and plans here.
By worried, you mean hopeful.
Yes, people often like, hey, how come your cats didn't get on the stream? I'm like, well, they didn't want to. Who knows what cats will do or won't do.
Just realized we did not tweet that we were live right now, so excuse me for 30 seconds.
Good idea. Now, just to clarify what we're doing today, like I said, we're covering the trailer, especially this recent trailer. We'll probably bring up some stuff from the first trailer as well, but we're not going to have any spoilers from set photos or leaked script stuff, only the trailer stuff, and no book spoilers either. We're trying to keep it all very show-oriented only. There's a time and place for all the different subtopics of Game of Thrones, A Song of Ice and Fire crossover, but this is going to be Game of Thrones only without any spoilers other than what we can glean from these trailers. So I just want to make that very clear. So if you're asking questions in the chat room, or if you ask questions ahead of time, we're not going to take any questions that revolve around any sort of book-oriented stuff. But there will be a time and place for that during the season. We do have our book-to-show analysis, and you guys do your things as well, and you get some book discussion in there as well. But today, that is not what's happening. Something new, though, that I'm very excited about is we have some images that we're going to bring out. We've done some screen capturing. We took a very long look at this trailer, and we're going to be able to put some images on screen, which is something we've never done before, so that's exciting. Have a little extra hype for these images. Why not, right? The images are what get us so excited. We don't have, even though this trailer did have some dialogue in it. Which, in fact, why don't we start with that? Let's talk about that dialogue. What did you guys think of that first bit? Littlefinger talking to Sansa there. Well, probably talking to Sansa, right? It's not 100% certain. Any thoughts on that?
I thought it was, in general, at first, some pretty good advice. I saw her walking. And I was just thinking about all the things that must be going on in her head. And if we're to look away from how we feel about Sansa as a character personally and just look at the hints that they're giving us in the TV show of where they're going to take that, she looked disconcerted during the whole
she looked like she was crying almost.
King in the North scene, and then also in the trailer, so I'm not really sure how that's going to shake out.
I thought it was great advice. I thought it's very insightful into Littlefinger's character. It makes sense. He's not out there running around with a sword, but he's still fighting these battles in his mind, and he's considering all the pieces, not just the castle he's in at the moment. And I also think that there's a sort of default expectation, I guess, that he's talking to Sansa because he's been with Sansa and they're showing us Sansa. But I think it makes at least as much sense for him to be talking to Jon.
It is possible, because I would agree with that. And it's also, I saw an interesting suggestion. I think it might have come from one of the listeners, someone watching the video or maybe commenting. I don't see it here, so I don't remember where the idea came from, but I thought it was clever. The idea is that maybe this is like he's about to be executed and he's saying this as like last words. Yeah. What do you guys think about that?
Is wishful thinking, maybe.
Right.
I don't think that's far off, though. I think that you see him lurking in the shadows through this whole trailer, and especially, I heard somewhere as well, and been reading everywhere on the internet, that he sounds like he's out of breath, or that maybe these are his last words. But I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised though if that was along those lines.
Yeah, I agree with you. That shot of him peering around a corner was just very classic Littlefinger. Like, I'm looking one eye around a corner.
Yeah, in the dark.
Yeah, that's a very good visual representation of him. Like, if you want to show his
self-aware when he lurks, do you think he knows that he's
lurking? Really damn creepy. Yeah,
maybe even proud of himself. Not just aware of it, but proud of it.
So, a related question to this would be, let's get everyone to weigh in. Do you think he survives this season?
I don't think so.
I think he does. I hadn't really considered. I hadn't detected this feedback out there. People think he knows might be his last words. I'm assuming he's going to make it through the season.
So I think it depends on Sansa and what happens with the Stark children, with Jon and with Sansa. I think that's going to play a big role in where Littlefinger kind of falls this season.
No.
Right on. Okay, so let's look at Winterfell, since we just had this look at Sansa, who appears to be walking in the Godswood. I think we all agree on that. We also have a similar shot, apparently in the Godswood, of Bran in a wheelchair here, and this looks also like the Winterfell heart tree. And my first question was, a couple of questions that come from this. First of all, it's cool to see Bran's got himself a little wheelchair, so he's not being dragged around on a sledge, right?
That's good for Mira.
That's a little awkward, right? Mira's probably a lot stronger now, right? She's like, But who is this dude? I think it's probably just a maester, the new Winterfell maester. They would have a new maester there, right? I mean, the Citadel knows.
Left over from the one that was with Ramsay. I forget his name.
Yeah, it was Maester. I think we're out of the B, I think. We looked at that guy and looked at this guy. Different. Yeah, they look different. That guy was bald, like completely bald. So,
can I ask both of them to turn their headphones down a little bit?
Sure. Hey, can you guys turn your headphones down just a little bit? Yeah.
Got it.
Yep. There we go.
Cool. And yeah, so it's probably just a maester. The one thing, whether it's the maester that was in the last season or not, is maybe not a big deal, because if it's a maester, it's just a maester. But from that image, you can't really see like a chain. No, he's outside in the cold. He might just be wearing an extra cloak or something. But that's one thing that made me think maybe that's not a maester. But I still think it is. But
I will say they have also continually brought in new characters to the show. Absolutely. So even if it's not a maester, it could just be some other Stark loyalist in the north. Once the Boltons are out, just some person who's taking over charge of the castle, you know?
Yeah, and I guess, there's another possibility. I definitely think this is Winterfell. Just as a side topic, though, Sam has just gone to the Citadel and informed them that Mr. Aemond is dead, and the guy was really funny, but like, Mr. Aemond is the Maester there. He's like, no, he's dead. He's like, we have not been informed. He's like, yeah, well, I'm telling you right now. Of course, Sam is too, nervous to be that forward about the information, but we're, as watchers, we're like, come on, Sam, just tell him what's up. So, but they would, given that, maybe they've sent a new Maester to the Wall, which is, I wouldn't want to be that Maester. Like, talk about drawing the short straws. Like, yeah, we're sending you to the Wall right when the White Walkers.
Really rough time right now.
Even if the White Walkers weren't coming, the Wall still isn't like that.
That's still
a sweet spot to get stationed,
Yeah, you're really hoping for like Old Town or somewhere close by, someone nice. Yeah, like no, we're gonna send you to. We're going to send you to Bear Island. Sorry.
It could be worse.
Yeah, it could be worse. They could have a new, they could be like, you know what, where we need a Maester now? We need one on Skagos. That's what we need.
They could be at Castley Rock right now.
Yeah, that's right. Ooh, I mean, bad. Yeah.
This trailer, just, when I watched it, we were working most of the day on other stuff, and then I finally got to watch it, and I was standing in front of this TV over here, and I just was standing with the food that I was eating, and I realized that I'd eaten like half of the food, like throughout the trailer, as it got increasingly more
eating
intense. Yeah, when Beric Dondarrion ignites his sword with some kind of pyrotechnical skills.
Yes, you better believe that's one of the images we pulled.
Yeah, when he did that, I was just like, this trailer's amazing, and then I don't know, I became really sucked into this whole thing, and I think that it's amazing. And I don't mean to cut into the conversation, but do you guys think it's the best trailer? Because I know we were talking about this off camera. Do you think it's the best Game of Thrones trailer? Does it really matter? But everyone's saying that. Everyone's saying that this is the one.
I kind of think it might be. I don't know. It's really a lot happens. It's very revealing without revealing things that we kind of didn't know were going to happen already. I think there's a lot of spoilery stuff in here, but
huge spoiler stuff. Brand's past the wall.
Right. So, in fact, that's our next image. We've got Bran and Mira at the gate of the wall here. And it's pretty clear if you see it even for a second, because you got a sledge, and yeah, it's just really straightforward.
Yeah.
And anyway, so that seems to be something we expected, right? That's a good example of something that we've expected. Like, oh, Bran and Mira crossing over. That's like, oh, it happened, but it's also.
I didn't expect to be showed it in a trailer though, so that was. Yeah. It's like, what else do you have to show us?
I missed it the first time though. Did you catch it the first time you're watching through the trailer? Because it took me a couple times of my 500 times.
I've only seen it once now. We kind of want to watch it again. Hopefully, can we watch it at some point in the show? Like, I don't know. It might be a good idea.
I don't think I recognized what it was because it was so fast.
Yeah.
As soon as it looked like just a couple of figures outside the gate of the wall, and as far as who would be crossing over, that came to mind. Like that, those two people.
Right.
Like, that makes
sense.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I'm not sure if it's the best one. I think we're better at analyzing it than ever before.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
And on one hand, it would make sense to be the best one just because, as filmmakers, they've gotten better at editing and clipping, and marketers, they have gotten ostensibly has gotten better over time.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't argue against it being the best one, but I haven't done enough careful analysis to say.
But Light of the Seven is playing in this trailer, and it's not playing in any other trailers, so I don't know.
That is a great song. When that came in, when the trailer started with that, I was already extra interested.
Yeah.
Like obviously I was super interested anyway, but that was like, ooh, excellent. Because that music from the final bits of last season was some of the best. And Game of Thrones is always great music, so that's really saying something.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, the Light of the Seven's on. There are dragons. There's flaming fields. There's clearly soldiers in places that we've like. Is that ever going to happen? It's like, well, it is in this trailer, so yeah, it's going to happen. And it's just so it's like with the added weight. So the added tension for waiting for the launch of the season longer than usual. It's just everything has just been very tense, and they know that. And I think it's just because. I mean, it's not just because, but it helps that the season is so good. I think. I mean, if the trailer looks like this, I don't know.
It bodes well. I definitely agree.
It does. Okay. I mean, at least it's going to be action packed.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the thing. There's so many exciting things to show because we've so many things are culminating, and that's just fun. Now we're going to go beyond the wall. There's a lot of these shots from beyond the wall, but first, before we do that, I want to ask a question from you guys, which is, related to the audio element of this trailer. There's two main things that are the audio elements of this trailer. The first was Sansa's while Sansa walking, Littlefinger talking, so we assume he's talking to her, but we've already discussed those possibilities. At the end of the trailer, we have Sansa talking, giving the Pack Survives quote that Ned taught Arya and in season 1, which is a really iconic speech, an iconic part of the Starks, because it's the whole lone wolf, pack of wolves concept obviously applies to them thematically. Any thoughts on who might she be talking to? And it's interesting, before you guys answer, I thought it was interesting the way she said it. She's not speaking with a lot of confidence. Her tone is a little low. So I don't know if that gives any clues, but I thought that was interesting.
I was specifically wondering if this was advice being given to someone about sticking with the pack, or in memoriam to a fallen lone wolf. Yeah. I was wondering if someone had been killed and this was her commenting on their death.
Wow.
Or if it was just someone wanting to go off and do their own thing, and she was warning them, hey, no, we need to stick together.
Especially because we get that shot of the rider on the horse as she's saying that. And so that's supposed to distract us or supposed to lead us in the direction of what she's talking about. But I'm hopeful that it's a, pump up speech to Jon and sticking together as Starks.
When you think about it, though, it might not. I mean, how many shots does Jon out beyond the wall? Like, it looks like he's doing a lone wolf thing, not sticking with the pack.
So, speaking of that, that's a good transition, a good segue. We have a lot of shots of Jon and his companions beyond the wall. There's some wildlings, there's some White Walkers, there's some whites, zombies, whatever you want to call them.
Swords.
And we have a flaming sword here. We have Beric's sword. This is clearly one of Jon's companions. This was my most visceral reaction in the trailer, was seeing this. I was like, whoa! Partly because it was, like we talked about, some of these things we only figured out after going back, freeze framing, and looking closely. But in the moment of watching it all, that 2 minutes of excitement, that was just, whoa, the flaming sword is back. Hell yeah.
It also makes you wonder who else is going to be back with him. Is Sandor going to be at his side? Is Melisandre going to show up there?
We do have a shot of Sandor in the snow, which I believe is our next shot. And
will you gesture at me when I need to do that?
And we'll have that up in a minute. And
I just didn't ever have Barrett.
And so it looks like this is, at least some of the group includes Tormund and Sandor and Beric, and there's a few others at least. But going back to Hannah, what you talked about, you mentioned something really that I thought was worth pointing out. You talked about that rider running away or fleeing, apparently, or going somewhere quickly. It sort of looks like Jon. Maybe it isn't important if it is, because in all the other scenes, none of them are riding a horse. They're all on foot. So I can't quite figure out how that fits into everything. Someone on a horse riding, probably Jon, and then all these other Beyond the Wall scenes, no one's got a horse.
That's the thing that worries me a little bit about that scene, and I'm going to make the assumption that it's Jon just because I'm just going to do that. Is I worry about him being alone. We spend the trailer with him seeing all of his companions, who he's with. Some people we know who they are, some people we don't. And then at the very end, he's riding off on his own. And so I think that there's theories, and the worry for some is that he's one of the only people who makes it out of whatever situation they get themselves in up there beyond the wall. So I don't know.
That would be harsh. Yeah, if we lost Tormund and Sandor, and I mean, Beric is already kind of dead, so I don't know. I don't know if that would be as tragic, but it's cool to have Beric around. I think Tormund and Sandor are probably a little bit more beloved characters, but still, losing all of them would be rough. But I guess, you know what? We got to prepare ourselves emotionally to lose some characters that we love. I think we all have to be ready for that.
The Wall is the front line, and it's full of characters who charge into danger as opposed to sit back and plan.
I'm really worried about Dolorous Ed, right?
I'm never worried about Ed.
Ed always seems to survive, doesn't he?
Yeah.
I hope that trend continues. So we have a couple of other scenes from Beyond the Wall. There's a lot of action shots. There's some from the previous trailer. One famous one was them forming kind of a ring, which is in this shot as well. But there's a later shot that's not in the first one that has this sort of, the companions are maybe standing on a ridge here, some sort of ridge, and you can see Beric because you can see the flaming sword there. Now, let me jump in real quick. Something I forgot to mention at the beginning. If you're listening to this after the fact, if you're listening to the podcast and not watching, you can see any of these images we're talking about. They're going to be posted on our website. And Game of Owns, I don't know if you guys are going to put them up on your site as well.
Yeah, we'll post them on Watchers, and we'll put a link to your website on Goo.
Awesome. So everyone, you know what we're talking about, and a lot of you guys already know what we're talking about because you've seen the trailer several times, and these things we're just jogging your memory by mentioning these shots. And some of these things you might have missed, though. I think there's a lot. It's easy to miss unless you freeze frame like we did. It is
like I did, yeah.
Hell easy to miss these.
0.25.
Yeah, like it's really fun looking at them freeze frames.
I've learned from watching these trailers to be patient the first time, just to watch it, absorb it, get some first impressions, because I know I'm just gonna go pause play, pause play. Watch every little instant, ask a bunch of questions. So the shot that we had, sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say that it's such a. I don't know if it's like that for every TV series. You know,
probably not.
That is such a fascinating thing that we all do. That we can all be like, oh yeah, we do that.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure those of you listening have probably done it too. It's like, wow.
Some of those images literally are less than a second long. So it's really hard to see them and absorb them very well.
Sorry.
Hannah lives down the street from the White House.
I live in the White House.
She really does.
There's something happening on down here.
It's almost gone. Sorry.
So as you can see from the image we have here, the shot on this ridge with the undead, it looks like undead pouring down the mountain. Oh, John, and you can see in motion that they're fighting. There's definitely fighting, but John has stopped. He's stopped fighting, and I think it's because he sees rescue has come. If you look closely at his feet, there's clearly an undead creature climbing, because you can see a spine, you can see a rib cage. But you also see a bunch of weapons, and at no point in the show have the zombies, wielded weapons. They always kill with their hands. So I think that what we're seeing is these companions surrounded by undead, rescued at the last minute. So it's possible that rider we saw was going off to get help.
Although rescued might be an overstatement. There's a lot in the background of bad guys.
It might just be joining the fray.
Yeah.
You guys don't remember the Whites or the... You know, like the bony guys carrying like little hatchets and stuff at Hardhome, and they were hacking the wall down.
Oh, were they? Okay.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure they had weapons when they were fighting Hodor outside of the tree in season 4 because he was parrying them when Bran walked.
Okay, yeah, maybe I'm remembering wrong then. Okay, that's a good call. I might
at first they didn't. No, you're right, because at first they didn't.
I think I might also be channeling the books because I'm almost positive they don't use weapons.
Yeah, I don't think that they do either. And early in the show, I know that you're in the middle of a rewatch in the early parts of it. The first White that John was face down with at Castle Black, he was just a normal kind of book canon, you know, handy White.
Well, in that case, that just throws a little more confusion here. So
it
I could be wrong. But the thing is, so maybe these Whites are using weapons. One of them has a full spear there, which is like that's a really clumsy weapon for a White.
Right. So it's like Summer using bows and arrows now. It's like, when does it end?
Yeah. So I guess we just don't know what's happening there, but it's a really cool shot. We know that Beric is there. We can probably guess that some of the other companions that we got shots of in the north are still there, unless they've already died by this point. But
maybe whether they use weapons is dependent on their nature before they became undead, right?
Yeah.
Like if it's just like random wildlings that were killed or died, as opposed to warriors, you know, who were killed in battle, maybe they're going to come back with their weapons from battle.
Mm-hmm.
Or other brothers, rangers, stuff like that.
Right? Yeah.
Dude, this screenshot, this scene is going to be mind blowing.
Mm-hmm.
Beric Dondarrion, Jon Snow and company.
Yes.
On a ridge, surrounded by those things.
Can't wait. Now, what we might be seeing is, speaking of help coming, what we see in this next shot is a raven flying over what looks like a battle. You can see a bunch of bodies, figures fighting down there, and it looks like it's still in the north. Now, take a close look at this raven's eye. Now, look at the next image, which will be up shortly. Notice the eye has changed color. It has turned either a white or a blue. Now, if it's a white, meaning the color white, then I believe we're seeing Bran taking over these ravens. But if it's blue, which it's hard to tell from the trailer, it looks kind of bluish, then it could be Night King taking the ravens over from Bran, or taking them over, period.
It's the worst.
Maybe could both, or go back and forth. They definitely, from this moment in a trailer, go back and forth with these images of Bran and Bran's eyes and him whiting over and then back to the Night's King. They definitely seem to be drawing this parallel with a series of images here to these characters.
Yeah, the
Yeah, it
timing
made
of
me
this
think
image
about-
is right after this Bran, the image that we showed before, Brandon's wheelchair. This follows him and he looks down. So yeah, I wonder if that's connected or just editing.
Yeah, it feels like they're telling us that this is all connected. Like Sue's theory is that the Night King is seeing Bran warging into the Sue from Watchers. The Night King is warging into, or not the Night King, but that Bran is warging into the Raven to look around, and that possibly the Night King spotted him or something, which
That's
makes
what I
sense
was
because they're
thinking
so
is that
connected.
we know they have a connection after the Night King touched Bran, and so I wouldn't be surprised if he can feel some sort of, if they have some connection that we don't quite understand yet, where he notices Bran kind of trying to take a lay of the land. So depending on if it's Bran or if it's somebody else warging into the Raven, I think that was probably one of my biggest moments when I finally slowed down the trailer of aha, or of what does this mean, or what are you talking about? And so I'm excited to kind of see that play out.
Or it's a total misdirection and it's infantry and they're going to kill us all. Just it's like foot soldiers are bad, but aerial attack from birds, I can't imagine that.
It happened in The Hobbit.
It's true. It did happen in The Hobbit. Those were even worse. Oh,
I think the Night King can detect a disturbance in the Force. I think Bran, like, using his powers is kind of like, I don't know, Luke being near Vader, you know?
I think that they're trying to communicate that with the way they edited the trailer. It may not even be clever editing, because what we're seeing is we see those ravens, and then we see Night King look up. We see a shot, and that's what we have on the screen now, and this is after he's turned his head to look up. So it definitely this theory really fits with what's presented in the trailer.
Even if in the show these scenes aren't necessarily directly connected, they're not occurring one after another, they might be spread out over episodes, I still think they're choosing to show it this way in the trailer because it's the connection that is there in the series. Right?
I agree, yes. Now let's look at, we have a lot of fight scenes. What you're saying here is important because we have so many different fight scenes beyond the north, or beyond the wall, and it's pretty hard to put them in an order. Like, what order do these come in? It isn't necessarily important, but here's a good example right here. We have Jon fighting other walker, rather, with a, I am with my book crossover again, fighting a walker with a really cool-looking two-handed ice sword, kind of like the one he fought at Hardhome, but certainly different. And that is pretty cool, but it's to be expected. I suppose there probably aren't any surprises in this shot. Oh, look, Jon's fighting another White Walker. I mean, no one's surprised.
I mean, it's scary. It's like, don't miss your parry, Jon, at all. Like, this one's not going to be okay if you do.
And another shot here. We have Jon. Looks like this one's a little harder to unpack. It looks like he's just struck down someone with a weapon, meaning someone wielding a weapon. It looks like a living being. It does not look like a zombie of any kind. And especially because there's just people standing there. They're just kind of watching. And there's flames burning in the distance behind them all. So it's clear that this is after a battle has happened. There's fire already there. So I have a real hard time figuring out what's going on there.
It almost seems like a ceremony of sorts, right? Maybe it's before battle or not a battle at all. Maybe it's some sort of challenge that's been thrown down. Or
maybe a wildling chief is challenging Jon, and that's what the other wildlings are just watching in the distance there. This image, I think, is one of the ones. It's probably the one that's made me think the most, or up in the top three anyway, because it's really confusing. And I think despite what I just said about the order of these being kind of hard to figure, I think this is one of the later ones. But we shall see. Any other thoughts on this image?
I was hoping you would help us with it.
All I did was explain how confusing it is. So, okay, well, let's let me see what kind of beyond the wall questions we have here, and then we'll move on to another location. I've got a couple here. Let's see. Let's talk about Arya for a second. There is an image of Arya in the trailer. We didn't bother to pull the image because it's very basic. It's just her sitting atop a horse, and you can't even see what's behind her because she looks like it's just like open sky behind her, and you can tell that she's well bundled up, and she's got a sword or some kind of sword, and it looks like Needle, I guess. But the question here is from Urias Tosh. Apologize if I don't have your name pronounced properly. How will the Starks react to new cold as ice Arya? And how will she react to soft emotions again? That's a good question.
Well,
So,
where do you think she's going to get soft emotions from? Sansa?
I mean,
they're going to
actions, maybe.
They're going to react to her by being like, I see you're with us now.
No crying, no hugging.
Her tears are frozen solid now. There's no
Yeah.
crying in the north. It's just a good way to scratch your eyes.
Well, I know that everyone else is going to be crying. Everyone listening to this or something, you're going to feel some kind of emotion when Sansa and our area finally see each other.
Yeah.
We've been waiting as long as they have, you know?
So it looks like we also had a question from Tracy McMillan here. It looks like we kind of answered this already. It looks like, she says, it looks like Bran has control of the Ravens. Do you think this is the case, or is it just the way it is edited? I think that is the case, although, like we said, it is possible that it's the Night King and Bran are kind of fighting over it, or like we said, maybe it's him catching, he's detected this disturbance in the Force, so to speak. And the second part of this question is that, could it be that she has learned details of Littlefinger betraying Ned? That's the piece that we haven't discussed yet. The next part of the question is, has she ordered him executed? And, well, this would be why she might order him to be executed, because she's figured out that Littlefinger was the betrayer of her father, and he's why, that's why he was executed.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Bran might be the one that could tell her that. I'm not.
Oh, yeah.
Do you guys know another way for her to find that out?
Yeah, I was just thinking, I can't think of how she would know until you said Bran. Like, oh, that's a way. That's one way she could find out. Yeah.
Unless Littlefinger accidentally slips, which, I think that's less likely.
Seems unlikely.
It's hard to slip when you're peering around a corner.
Yeah.
I don't think Arya would know either.
Here's another thing.
Arya's another person
I don't
that
think
would, I don't think she knows either. Yeah.
Here's another thing, though, about Littlefinger's plot line is we've speculated that he's going to tell Jon who his real parents are.
Yes.
And would that... I don't see how that would get him killed. I wonder if it might keep him from being killed. Like, let's say there was some sort of heat on him. Even if it wasn't as serious as Bran revealing that he was behind Ned's betrayal, there still might be heat on him because people are suspicious that he's plotting Sansa against Jon, or that he stuck Sansa with Ramsay, different things like that. Still might bring heat on Littlefinger. I wonder if he might divert that by saying, oh, Jon, you should really be my best friend because I'm the person that can prove who your parents really are.
Yeah, that could be really neat. I mean, I don't see why Littlefinger wouldn't buddy up with Jon, but I know that he would do it in the vicinity of Sansa, if that makes any sense.
Also, I wonder if Jon will even accept this information. Like, realizing
That's what I was
not
gonna
his
say.
dad, he might not accept it, even if it's true or even if it's positive. It might be...
In the first trailer, there's that scene of him slamming Littlefinger against the wall.
Yeah.
In the crypt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the
So,
speculation with that
That's a
moment.
very safe guess that he's been told something that is displeasing, or something that, or he's been insulted, or something, But that it could be both too, because he might be insulted by being told that Ned Stark's not his father. That's going to be difficult.
He's
I don't
probably.
think that would. Sorry, you go ahead.
No, you please go ahead.
I was gonna say, if he is gonna react in that negative way, I don't think that that's gonna help his case of whatever else might be going on.
Good point.
I was just gonna say he's probably saying something along the lines of he's probably speaking in riddles about Lyanna, like in front of her tomb, and Jon probably couldn't handle it. You know what I mean?
It occurs to me Littlefinger might not be so direct. He might not be.
Mhm.
Oh, by the way, Jon,
Hey,
your
Jon.
parents are regard. Yeah. He
The
might
thing about
plant
parents
some
is-
seeds.
He'll be smarty with it, no
He
matter
might
what.
plant some seeds and let Jon come to his own realization. And Jon might be upset at first by the implication that Littlefinger is making, but as he pieces it together, might realize his true destiny.
It'd be funny if the reason he got mad was like, "Are you suggesting that my aunt slept with my father?" It's like, no. Only crackpot theorists come up and suggest that Ned slept with Lyanna. That's not what we're. It's like, I wasn't saying that, dude. Come on. You were saying that my parents are like Targaryens. No, I'm saying that your parents one of them was a Targaryen, but not like not that way, not in behavior, but in actual blood. Okay.
It's a lot of information.
It's a lot of information.
So here's another good question from Thomas Pappas. Regarding Jon being north of the wall with maybe 12 companions, are they heading north of the wall in search of the children? In general, the question is, what are they doing? Why did they go beyond the wall? And my first guess is maybe that because we've seen that there's possibly more living wildlings beyond the wall, that they're going to bring these guys south and to add them to their army to fight the walkers.
Yeah.
Especially because the alternative is that they get killed and become part of the army. So it's either they're their allies or enemies. So there's no in between.
Maybe it's some
That's
information
the,
that Bran brings. Maybe Bran shows up and says,
Oh,
"Hey,
yeah.
at this location, you know, Bran may even go through some encampment or etc."
Yeah, he may use his Raven scouting abilities to go find more places where human beings still exist beyond the wall and need to be brought in. That would be really interesting.
But why did he take those guys with him? And why are they with him?
Yeah, I wonder about
And-
that. Yeah.
Why didn't it happen sooner?
Maybe John ran off on his own with a horse, and a team decides to follow after, and then they all get trapped. Maybe.
That's another idea. Yeah,
Mhm.
that's possible.
Maybe he found out his true parentage and he decided to piece the heck out of there.
He joined the
and
Brotherhood
everybody
Without
chased-
Banners.
Yeah.
Go as far north as we
Everyone
can.
chasing after
There
him.
was
Let's
a
take the
tree
hound with
beyond
us.
the wall where they went to take their oath, right?
Yes.
Maybe John does go out to that tree to find answers, you know.
And they're like, whoa, they're right here, so close to the wall already, and that's where things go wrong. Yeah, they might not intend to go really deep beyond the wall and just, hell, they're right here. On the other hand, though, one of those shots, they're clearly near a mountain. There's undead coming down a mountain.
Yeah.
And I don't think there's mountains that close to the wall.
Yeah.
I don't. I mean, certainly, we all want to use book canon, but that's definitely the case in the books now. We're not. Show geography does vary sometimes.
Maybe
You
at
never
the
know.
edges of the wall, but that's still not where he would have gone to that tree.
Yeah, that tree definitely doesn't have mountains nearby, as far as we know. So
Right.
definitely, as far as we know. Okay, so here's another question from Angel de Kagama. What is your prediction for the role Bran will play in season 7? I think we've already outlined several possibilities. First, scouting beyond the wall, maybe using ravens to help a battle, maybe
revealing Littlefinger's nature.
Yeah, and other secrets. Bran is the guy that he's the vehicle that can reveal things that are hard to reveal because he has these powers.
I just hope that it's helpful and not him causing problems or creating more issues than necessary, because I think that he has so much to learn based off of everything that's happened to him in the last little while. And so I just hope that his force and powers are used for good good and not something that's going to be detrimental to anybody else. I just feel worried.
Yeah.
You already got Hodor killed.
Yeah, I
Don't forget
I
Jojen.
still feeling that. So.
Yeah. I think Mira's at least pretty safe. She's at least
She
gotten
deserves
top
it
of
to-
the wall.
Someone knock on wood.
Okay, another related question. A lot of people ask questions about these battles beyond the wall and about the Night's King and Bran and maybe what's going on with this warging. And now here's a question that extends from all that. If true, if that's what we're seeing, meaning if we're seeing the Night's King and the warg battle, who's controlling this animal? If true, if true, do you think it might be foreshadowing for a future war duel over a dragon?
Please. Wait, no. No, never mind.
Yeah,
it'd be cool to see, but I don't want that to happen.
It seems possible, but I don't know. It seems maybe a bit too high magic, and it'd be kind of hard to portray it on screen.
Well, we've always said that we want Bran to work into a dragon, right? And the Three-Eyed Raven, or at least the OG one, said, "You will fly." So, I guess he flies in the trailer if he's working into the Raven, though.
I think if it does happen, it won't happen until next season. That's what I think.
I would agree with that.
Yeah.
I could be wrong, but I'm sort of assuming a lot of these more actiony moments are going to be more toward the end, right? They're going to be climaxes that have been built up to.
Mhm.
And then at the end of the season, it's not like it's all done, right?
Yeah.
I think we'll see throughout the course of this season a battle being set up by Bran coming in, Jon going out, whatever, right? And towards the end, we'll have these big action moments with zombies north of the wall. And on the flip side, we'll have battles being set up by Dany showing up with her armies and navies, and it will probably build up towards the end. The actual battles themselves will be towards the end. So that'll leave next season for Dany to move north and join the fight against the White Walkers. And that's where we might see Bran and the Night's King battling over warging control.
That makes a lot of sense. We certainly have seen no indication from the trailers of walkers on the other side of the wall, or with the wall being gone, or Dany having anything to do with the north, besides maybe meeting with some representatives from the north. But as far as being there, no hint of that, at least as far as visuals, trailers anyway. Okay, so we got a note here that I'm a little loud. We're going to work on that. As these new live stream software, we're adjusting to these processes, so apologize for that, for our technical comings and goings during these episodes. but we will get it all sorted out, and during the season, we'll be even smoother. All right,
I think you sound great, Aziz.
Well, thank you.
Fantastic. You too, Sean.
Someone telling me I'm too loud that happens every day. Okay, so I think that covers we've gone about 40 minutes already-ish, so we've discussed pretty much all this northern stuff. So let's move southward. Let us go to, let's say, King's Landing.
Ooh.
We've got another image coming up here. This is interesting. At first glance, maybe it's not a lot going on here, but if you look closely, there's more to see here. What we have is an image of soldiers being cheered on as they pass through the streets. It's almost certainly King's Landing, not 100%, but very likely, because those look like City Watch outfits. That is the garb of the City Watch. So very likely to be King's Landing. But notice that there are still Lannister banisters.
Oh, the best things to slide down.
They're golden.
They're golden.
They might scratch you though.
Oh yeah, and they're also they kind of fall apart because they're gold. They just kind of you slide down.
Lannisters have the best banisters.
They do. They really do.
So what this indicates, if they're cheering the City Watch, and maybe they've repelled an attack, or maybe there's people behind them that we can't see, because it does look like some of these people in the crowd are looking past these City Watch. But the fact that the Lannister banners are still up indicates that this is not like some Dany's the Victorious taking over King's Landing. This is something else happening, because the banners will be the first thing that get pulled down.
Right.
There are so many ways to potentially interpret this. For one, I wonder, let's say that some assault, maybe the Unsullied are coming in and the local forces fight them off. Would the people cheer that on? Like, it seems like the people are on the edge of revolt, right? It's not like they're so happy that their queen has been defended. It's more like they might join in an attack. So maybe it is that what we see in the front are these guards of the City Watch. But what we don't see is that they're being pushed back and pinned down by a force of Unsullied, and that's who's being really cheered.
It's interesting that that's a good point about how unpopular Cersei is probably going to be, because she did all her, she's doesn't exactly have a great reputation, and she's seizing the throne by power without any direct right to it, and she has no heir. So that is already like, well, you're setting up for a regime of trouble, of chaos, because what happens after you? On the other hand, Dany's army is almost entirely composed of foreigners. Of Unsullied may not seem so Unsullied, but the Dothraki are going to inspire some serious xenophobia from a lot of the King's Landers and Westeros people in general. So I think that they might cheer pushing away a foreign army.
Yeah,
maybe it's not even a big conflict like we're supposing. Maybe it's just a speech that Jaime just gave, rallying the people to Cersei's side.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. That could be it.
That's possible.
Kenny, you had a thought there?
No, I was just going to agree. I definitely think it's a celebration of some point. I think that that's a win for the Lannisters in this shot, whatever that means, is the impression that I got.
Now, in the next shot, which is maybe related to all this, we have something very sneaky in this shot. When you see this image on the trailer, it looks like Jaime's just walking along the battlements to the Red Keep. You can see the bay, the narrow sea out there. It looks really beautiful. But at his feet, he passes a dead body, and it's not a soldier. You can see this at his feet right there. There's a body lying there, not in armor. It looks like some courtly person. Don't recognize them at all. Can't even tell if it's a man or woman. I think it's a man. But any thoughts on that? That's real. This is another shot that's a bit confusing to me.
Well, you can imagine if there is some force that breaks into King's Landing, like maybe not this all-out siege of thousands of soldiers outside of the Red Keep, but 30 guys sneak in a secret passage and go up a stairwell through a corridor and seize Cersei, kidnap or murder, and Jaime's following up on this. Maybe that's a thing that's happening here. Maybe they attempt to get to Cersei but don't get there. Maybe they release some other prisoner. You can imagine some sort of secret mission into there that Jaime's tracking down and would have left a bystander dead on the stairwell.
That makes sense. Yeah,
that would be cool. That's a cool thing.
I saw somewhere, again, we all read so many comments everywhere, and I'm pretty sure this is somewhere on Watchers, that somebody speculated and zoomed in that was a Tyrell. But I don't know what that I don't necessarily know what that would mean.
Not many of those left.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking as well. But
Well, it makes sense.
I thought it was interesting, and that doesn't answer any questions, but
Worth considering for sure. Yeah.
Another thought on the prior scene with the cheering crowd, it just occurred to me is that maybe that's the arrival of Euron.
In fact,
maybe
that is our next shot.
An alliance. We have the fleet coming, so that's another thing that might piece together well, right?
Certainly. It looks like we've got Euron. We've got a shot of Euron later, but we've got this huge Greyjoy fleet. You see it approaching. It's just really massive. It looks like 1,000 ships. He did it. He got his 1,000 ships, or however many he wanted to build.
Somehow,
it looks like it happened.
some way.
Yeah, it happened. Somehow, exactly. Somehow, some way. Maybe they did it. They were talking about building ships, but once they have a few, they can go out and capture more and just like build that way, keep building them, but also just take more. So there's always that. So that's a good theory. I like the idea that maybe it's some new ally has arrived, because this does not look like a fleet that's approaching to attack.
No, it doesn't. Yeah. And that makes a lot of sense. I don't want to get too much into book stuff because I know we're not supposed to do that today, but the repurposing of Euron for that, I mean, I can't really think of any other thing that he would do.
Yeah. And in fact, there are certainly other shots that we're going to get to here very shortly that indicate that Euron is fighting people who are allies of Dany. So it certainly makes sense that, your enemy, the enemy of my enemy is my friend, and Dany is an enemy of Cersei, and Dany is an enemy of Euron. So the two of them teaming up makes all kinds of sense, especially since the enemies of Euron have teamed up with Dany too, Theon and Asha, who we have a shot of them coming up here in a minute. We have Asha and Theon Yara. I'm sorry. Theon and that book canon sneaking in there again. Theon and Yara looking up at what appears to be flaming balls of fire coming down, because that's what we see the very next second in the trailer as their ship, or a ship near them, is hit by flaming balls. It's clearly not Dragonfire, I would say. I think almost clearly not Dragonfire. It looks like flaming catapult shots, trebuchets, explosions, similar ship-to-ship action that we see in the first trailer. And so it looks like Theon and Yara are going to be fighting their own people.
Jerry Lee Lewis song, Great Balls of Fire.
Yes,
how awesome would that be, the music for that scene?
Or at least in the credits. They'd pull that kind of move if something bad happened.
Now here in this next shot, you can see the most berserk face. There is a contender for another berserk face that's else in this trailer, but it's hard to be more berserk looking than this, and he's axing someone a deadly question here. I'm not sure there's a whole lot to unpack here. It's just a cool looking image of that poor man about to be chopped down by Euron. Any thoughts on this Euron plot and Euron and Theon?
One thing I want to ask about that image. Physically, where do you think they are?
They're on, I think it's ship to ship.
On the ship?
Yeah. There's like some of the other images show like men crossing from one ship to another, things like that.
I thought it might be possible to confuse that the way that the Iron Islands are all these towers with rope bridges between them and water.
I thought that too in the first
trailer.
They
could be fighting on one of those structures and not a ship, but
it's absolutely possible. All the fire everywhere makes me think it's ship-to-ship battles too, because like Pike being on fire, that doesn't really work because it's stone,
If it's, I mean, with
who's versing setting it on fire,
that could happen.
It's probably on the narrow sea,
Yeah.
If they're coming back from Dany and then Euron's seeing Cersei, that's probably a late in the season thing. If they push forward to King's Landing, you know what I mean? Because I doubt that they would. Maybe they do. Maybe they get inside of King's Landing like mid-season, or these trailers usually show footage from the first couple episodes in the season, but I don't know if the first couple episodes has Jaime riding through a field of fire, like that. Then
we only have a couple episodes though,
It's true.
So
3 episodes is almost halfway through the season.
Yeah,
that's true. I know. So it's I guess I don't know if it'll follow the same pattern than it has before then, because the subject material looks to be a lot different than what they normally do for the show. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or at least the stuff that they're showing us, it's a lot less of the normal stuff and then a lot more dragons flying around Dragonstone. So it's a really tough call. I don't know. Honestly, I think that if they're fighting to the death, then it's going to be a shame to lose any of those Greyjoy characters, because even the bad ones are really cool. So I hope that it doesn't end there. You know what I mean? I hope that they didn't set all of that up just for how do we get into King's Landing. But we'll see.
Here's a live, not question, Well, it's kind of a question. It's from Aziz. Can you tell the guy on the left I really like his beard?
Mhm.
Yes.
Tell me.
They really like your beard.
Okay.
So, this is interesting. I'm realizing here where a lot of fan interest is at the moment. So far, looking at the live questions we have, almost all of them are based on the North and about beards. There are some questions about some of the scenes that are coming later. And here's a question from Thomas Pappas, which relates to this current topic of King's Landing and the Ironborn. Also, based on this trailer, is there any chance Asha/Yara and Theon are on their way to attack King's Landing when Euron and his fleet set upon them? So, like, they're intercepting an attack fleet, which is very interesting. And here's a related question based on the things we've already talked about. Could this mean the shot of the Gold Cloaks and crowd? The Gold Cloaks is what they're called in the books. It's the City Watch, same thing. Giving a warm reception means this is Euron who we see with his fleet approaching King's Landing. So I think, yes, we're pretty sure that it is Euron who we see approaching with the fleet. The idea that they maybe defeated this attack by Theon and Yara is what they're celebrating is an alternative but similar concept to what we've seen. Because I think the King's Landers would cheer driving off an Ironborn attack, too. They're not foreigners, but they're a little bit different than the mainlanders, right? They're kind of a culture apart from the rest of it. They're not as apart as the Dothraki. But, they got their own god, they got their own things,
And their rebellion's only a generation away. There's still might be a bad taste in a lot of people's mouths.
Very true.
Yep.
Okay, so let us see. You guys have any more thoughts on this particular plot, or should we move on?
Good.
Cool.
I think I'm good.
Excellent. Let's go to Dragonstone, then. Let's do that. We've got
Heck yeah.
a shot that is sure to disappoint Stannis fans. We have Dany and Tyrion entering a room shortly after we see Dany pulling down the fiery heart banner. Very symbolic.
Yeah, just in case we're not sure where we stand.
And there's a lot of eye candy shots. We didn't pull some of these. They're not very telling. They're just cool. The dragon shot. A lot of dragon action in this trailer. Flying out over the bay. We have Tyrion kind of watching them soar. Any predictions on Tyrion and dragons here? Any thoughts on that? Yeah, please. Yeah, let's do it, right?
I just rewatched that episode from season 6, and he had some cojones. He had some salt. He pulled out those locks very easily, and the dragons seemed to like him. So I love just the concept of seeing the scene in completion and hearing the music that was scored for it. Of him standing outside of Dragonstone and seeing those dragons flip around him, it's like that's worth the whole wait for the new season. That's such a cool thing.
I agree. Mm-hmm.
It does seem like something has been set up for Tyrion to be a dragon rider, right? Like from the seat that he had made for Bran way back to his interaction with the dragons, just walking down and talking, touching, freeing them.
His knowledge of them.
Yeah, you're right.
Mm-hmm.
Not just that, but if you try to figure out who is a dragon rider, there just really aren't a lot of candidates. You narrow it down to just a few, and so it's like, well, there's just very few options. So that makes it even more likely that Tyrion is one of them. Because heck, there's probably only like 3 or 4 total candidates, right? So he's looking at it that way, he's almost 50-50, even without any other detail or evidence.
If he is a dragon rider, do we think we get it this season?
Ooh.
Do we think we get to see a Tyrion?
I don't think so. Maybe if we do, I think it'll be like a closing moment, something to get fired up about in the last episode is what I kind of think. Now, I did have a thought though about dragons in general. Something I was wondering. When the Targaryens came originally, where did the dragons live?
Dragonstone has active volcanoes, so it was a very good spot for them. And they like that. It's very similar to Valyria.
They love it there.
Yeah, it's kind of a similar terrain.
Now what did they eat? Did they fish from the sea?
Absolutely.
Right?
Sheep, fish, just any animals they can catch. Different dragons have different food.
Right. What I'm kind of wondering, what I'm leading up to here, though, is so far Dany hasn't managed that very well. Right? Her dragons have been killing
children,
the cattle of the farmers, children, innocent people, right? Was that an issue for the Targaryens, but no one could do anything about it? Or did the Targaryens know how to manage that better, to provide them with proper food and hunting grounds? Will Dany be able to do that now? Let's say she gets there with the dragons, and maybe Tyrion or someone knows, hey, you need to live here at Dragonstone, otherwise they're just going to randomly destroy the land that you're trying to rule. I wonder if that might even be a way to take them out of the equation. Or
No, I think you're right. I think it's both a way to make it harder for her to control them. Because if she just has these dragons that are under her control, like, what is going to stop her from doing
a lot of the
anything?
battles are just going to be too lopsided. There's not a lot of suspense for us wondering who's going to win.
She would just roll over everyone's. And I agree with you. That's not, and the dragons are almost a parallel to some of the other things that she's got going on. The dragons are going to be hard to control, but so are the Dothraki, for example. They are really not just going to fall in line. Well, maybe they will. I don't know. But I think that they're just a very different culture. Culture shock is not unlikely to happen. You might have people, infighting just because there's some xenophobia or just flat out, racism, whatever you want to call the proper word for that setting.
It's been sort of a common theme throughout that Dany has this ambition and this drive and commands a lot of respect, but also doesn't have a lot of experience, and sometimes things that she didn't quite account for end up, hurting her cause. And I can see that continuing here with the dragons that on one hand are her great ally and not wild card, but trump card. But maybe they're a wild card.
I think they're both, right? I think they're both.
And so additionally, the reality of the Dothraki, even if the people as a whole are won over by Dany, and the leaders are in line with her and her plans, every single one of these thousands and thousands of soldiers, remember the trouble she had with Khal Drogo, when he's like, all right, I'll help you win your throne. Let's go raid and pillage. And she's like, oh, wait, you're gonna rape women and take slaves? I want you to do all this. You can't do it. And Khal Drogo's like, all right, fine, everyone, you can't do it. Everyone didn't like, okay, fine, we won't. No, it was like, it caused a rift. It pretty much ruined the whole
instant rebellion. Yeah.
And so this is probably still going to be an issue.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
That's a good call.
I think that brings up some interesting questions that I've just had about Dany's storyline in general throughout this trailer. And we touched on it briefly about whether or not she's going to go if and when she goes north. And I've just been thinking a lot where her focus is going to be this season. And, we bring up these questions about her dragons and this army that she's commanding. And so much of Dany's storyline, as you've been saying, is with this internal struggle between what she should be doing and where she should be going and how she's supposed to control the situation around her. And so I think that seeing her make progress in this season is going to be interesting because it's been so slow moving for her leading up to this point. And then I'm curious to kind of see that once she's here in Dragonstone, what are going to be her next steps and what type of movement are we going to get from her this season?
It's another thing too. She just has this idea in her mind that she wants to go back to her home and sit on the Iron Throne, right?
Yeah.
And she's been warned by Tyrion and some other people, like, there's more to it than that. You know what I mean? Like, you can win this battle, but ruling this land's a different thing. I think, kind of hope that'll be a lot of the struggle this next season.
That's exactly what went wrong with Robert, right? He was fantastic, and that's one of the very early themes of the show. It's like, Ned, we were better people when we had a challenge. We had something to do, a purpose. And now, look at us. Well, Ned should be like, look at you, man. I'm doing fine. But,
right.
But really, the point still remains that it was, Robert was a warrior, not a king. Dany is not a warrior. But she has not learned how to be a queen yet. She is getting there. She's learned a lot of things. She's come a long way. But like Tyrion says, she may as well be Jon Snow. Like,
she has this warrior mentality as much as she has a lordly mentality.
Yeah, and she does that. And she does, that's a good point. And she wants to learn. She has some humility in terms of that. She knows she kind of knows she knows nothing.
It is a thing. It is a thing I try to keep in mind sometimes. Like, what are you doing? How could she think? What was that stupid thing? Well, she's like 19.
Not even.
How much am I expecting of her in the first place? It's. But that said, it's all the more reason for her to take counsel. And even if there might be a good reason why she's making mistakes, it doesn't make the mistakes okay. It's still going to have negative repercussions, and so.
Now, the majority of the Dany shots are at Dragonstone. There's a few elsewhere, but I believe all of them are when she's on Dragonback. We'll get to those in a bit. And this one here that we have on screen it looks at first glance like another shot of Dragonstone. You see a lot of these like rowboats coming up, but what we've seen here, you see a man kneeling. He has just dropped to his knees and he is staggered towards the water. The background doesn't look the same as the Dragonstone shots either. I think this is the Iron Islands, and I think that might be Theon.
I agree with Theon. I didn't think as much or piece together where they might be, but if it is Theon, it makes as much sense as for it to be the Iron Islands as most anywhere.
If that is the case, this might be a very late in season shot.
Yeah.
Any other thoughts from you guys? What do you think?
No, I had a lot of questions about. I had thought that could be Theon as well, just from the way he falls. But yeah, in terms of location, I've got no idea.
Who is everyone hoping it is? Let's say it's not Theon. Who are you hoping it is? Anyone?
I don't have another.
Does it start with a G?
Gendry.
Yeah, I was going to say
Gendry could. What was it? Donald Noy forged Robert's Warhammer. That's a smith who was cut out of the show. He worked at the wall. Maybe we can have Gendry forge something for John or Danny or somebody.
Or Sam.
Or Sam, yeah, Sam. A big old suit of armor.
Two of those people you mentioned already have Valyrian steel swords.
It's true.
You know?
Yeah, you never have too many.
It's like make John a shield or I don't know. You can make Danny a sword.
Speaking of John, making John a shield, we don't have a shot of it, but one of the shots is of John in Davos, and John has his nice direwolf engraved armor. You can see his breastplate. It looks really nice.
Oh, that's cool.
He's taken on his Stark persona instead of being a brother in Night's Watch, which allows him to wear more bling.
Or a Targaryen.
So the other really major set of scenes, not all of them, but the majority of what's left in this trailer is focused around what appears to be what we'll call the Field of Fire. The Field of Fire was a historical event in the Conquest. Aegon the Conqueror, basically what he did was he gathered his army. It was much, much smaller than the combined forces of the Reach and the Lannisters, or the West and the Reach, and two kings participated, both of the kings of the Reach and the Rock. And what Aegon did was he burned the brush. He had his dragons light the brush around the battlefield so that it would both put a lot of smoke out and create walls of fire that would, make cavalry maneuvers more difficult. And it seems that we're getting a replay of this because a lot of these exact same elements are there. Not necessarily a king of the Rock and a king of the Reach, but we do have Jaime leading the army.
Do we have that image up on the screen, by the way?
Oh, yeah, we have this image here. We have Lannisters bracing for a charge, and it looks like Dothraki coming into field. And you can see the firewall I'm talking about.
What you're describing now is that Field of Fire. When I, the first watch through, when this image barely lasts a second, I thought that was Beric's sword.
I was like, what's he doing down there? Beric is everywhere.
I still kind of wish that's what it was.
You can believe whatever you want. There's no wrong answer.
Some of the other action shots that we have from the scene that we don't have images of that will jog your memory. We have Lannister archers directed by Jaime. Then we have a bunch of Unsullied being shot down by our arrows, which is probably a connected thing. And we have Unsullied in rows. We have Lannisters bracing for a charge, but with helmetless men standing behind men that are more fully armored. We have some of these men look kind of young, which might mean like the Lannisters are kind of scraping the bottom of the barrel with their forces, which would make sense after so much war for so long. We have Dothraki bursting through some wall of fire. But the really key moment, I think, is this next. We have another image first. We have Daenerys on her dragon. You can see her very tiny at the top of this dragon above these Dothraki. I think it's really cool. And that reminds me of the Field of Fire, which is also, historically speaking, the only time that Aegon deployed all three of his dragons. So if that's what happened, if we had that repeat of history, that means we'll have 3 dragon riders by then. So I'm kind of guessing maybe we won't. Because
yeah, that feels like a lot.
3 dragon riders by the end of the season does seem like whoa.
Like a lot.
Okay, please. Yeah, that would be amazing. Yeah, let's do that.
Let's do that. Let's call them up and be like, hey, y'all, if that's not what you did, go ahead and change that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Do a quick little CGI.
I didn't think that I would see Tyrion riding a dragon until the promotional footage for season 8, which would be coming out in like 2019.
Yeah.
So this is a exciting prospect.
Well, it does take time to tame a dragon, I hear. So
it does,
an extra season in between, or extra year in between, makes sense, right?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
We've got another image coming up here that this is actually kind of heartbreaking. I think this image is very sad because it's clearly after the battle has raged on for a while. And Jaime in all these other shots is guiding the action. But in this one, he's charging alone. There's another shot of him with his intense face where he's charging, looking really intense, and he's charging through this hellscape of what was a battle. There's bodies and corpses everywhere, and really, this to me has all the feel of I'm going to go out fighting. We've lost, but I'm going to die with a sword in hand and, well, spear in hand, and a curse on my lips, which is, that's a thing. And so he's like, we've lost, but I'm going to go fighting. I'm going to die with honor. I'm going to die gloriously. What do you guys think? Is that? I hope there's something I missed, because I really think that's what's going to happen, but I hope I'm wrong, because I don't want Jaime to die.
Even if
you guys
are you
guys Jaime fans? Sorry, go on, Sean.
I'm a Nikolai Coster-Waldau fan.
I'm a Jaime fan. I think I'm a Jaime fan.
Yeah, Jaime's a good character.
I am.
And I would say that Jon did the same thing, right? He just charged out into this, lone soldier charging into a whole army of arrows raining down.
Mm-hmm.
He made it.
He got lucky. That's what the showrunner said. He got super lucky. That's Jon Snow.
Jaime's no Jon Snow.
Yeah, I don't know though. It doesn't look good. I don't feel good about this scene. I've seen, and I think that one of the thoughts could be that he is, if there are dragons there, that he's kind of trying some last ditch effort to charge at one or something. Or there's also questions about if Tyrion is there and if there's some sort of brotherly moment that happens in Jaime's last. So.
I can't handle the prospect.
It's a lot.
Let me get in here, because you've just touched on some of the live questions we've got. So let me go ahead and read these, because this is almost the exact questions we've got. From Lucas Perzek: is Tyrion going to inadvertently help Jaime become the Dragon Slayer by distracting one of the dragons while Jaime is making his heroic charge in the trailer? Also, question from Jared Barger: in the trailer, is Jaime holding a spear rushing at a dragon?
Mm-hmm.
You know what? It does make a lot of sense, because what did Jaime do at the Whispering Wood when he realized he was going to lose? He's like, well, my one chance is to kill Robb Stark. And he made a charge at Robb Stark and tried to kill him. He's like, well, we're going to lose this battle unless I kill Robb Stark. So maybe he is trying to make... The problem is, dragons fly, and it's a lot harder to... And Jaime didn't succeed in killing Robb Stark either.
And he had his other hand then.
Yeah.
So
I think it's worth noting a lot of these questions that we're asking, the fact that we're even asking them, it kind of moves past questions that we had been asking about Jaime in the past.
Yeah.
Is he going to stick with Cersei? And it seems like if he's fighting these battles on behalf of the Lannisters, he's sticking with Cersei.
Yeah, that's a great point. You're right.
It is. Yeah. Also, I think there's something that we're all remiss for not mentioning. I guess it's probably because we don't want to face the truth, but if Jaime's riding like this so viscerally without Bronn in a place like that, what does that mean for Bronn?
Yep, good point.
Especially because we saw him in one of the earlier shots standing beside him.
He's with Jaime when he's guiding the archers. Yeah, you're totally right.
So if Bronn dies, we riot. Just saying.
Yeah, that's one of those characters that's one of those that's like, we had him on our list in season 5. We thought Bronn was going to die in season 5 in Dorne. We thought Bronn was not getting out of Dorne alive. So he's already been on borrowed time, it feels like. So,
that's fair. I think he did too. So that's fair.
But still, it's going to be painful if it happens, because Bronn is hilarious. He's a great character. That's I would say he's a good person. Well, most of these people are not good people.
No.
These characters are bad. Like I said, I like Jaime a minute ago, but I don't think he's like a good guy.
It's great.
It's like half of our episode.
He's interesting. He's compelling, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Bronn is one who I'm going to say doesn't pretend to be on any kind of moral high ground. He's utilitarian. He's, if I have to kill someone, I'll kill someone. If I'm getting paid money to do it, I don't care what the motivation of the payer is, as long as I get the money. Many of the characters are great in many ways, and that's part of why I like the show so much.
Speaking of characters in struggle, we have a question from Borat69able.
Yes.
Will Tyrion be conflicted as he sees the terror brought on by the dragons and Dothraki? Will he possibly change sides? Will he be like, look at all this destruction? It's like what Dany was like, I didn't sign up for this when she told Drogo, like, let's go take the Iron Throne. It's like, wait, all this raping and murdering, maybe I should have seen that coming, but I didn't. Tyrion might be kind of faced with the same thing, like,
as you're saying this, what if the dragon that Jaime is charging is being
ridden by Tyrion?
That's why he's so mad.
And then he stops. And then he lives.
Tyrion might fly out, or if Tyrion might just pull the dragon up and fly off and leave Jaime there alone on a battlefield defeated.
They might want him as a hostage. Yeah. They might want to capture him alive.
Yeah. That might be hard for the dragon to do.
Yes.
Leave the soldiers on the ground and capture Jaime alive. Let's fly the dragon out of here.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I think if there's going to be any hesitation on either of their part, I think it's going to be the two of them facing each other. Otherwise, I don't know if there will be any hesitation for Tyrion or Jaime based off of the destruction, because I think that they both kind of understand the cost of war.
Yeah.
So I think it's going to be the two of them together if something like that happens.
That would be interesting. Yeah, this was some very a lot of smart questions here. I got to say, a lot of people pointing
Making
out
us work.
thoughts and giving us new things to consider. That's really good. I love our community. Okay, let's move on here. We've got a few questions that we're going to save for a little later because I've seen some questions here that we've already covered these topics, but we'll circle back and get some of the questions because I think we'll probably still have a little time here. But let's make sure we cover everything before we circle back. So let's go to what we're calling Casterly Rock, ? With some asterisks.
Yeah.
We've got a shot here coming up with, this is Grey Worm giving the nod. It's like the knowing nod. And he's approaching a little cleft in the water by a boat. This looks like a little commando raid. And there's two possibilities here, I think. Sean, you had a great idea for this. I'm pretty sure this is Casterly Rock. I'm based on the first trailer as well. But given what we saw with the dead body on the battlements and the Jaime shot at the Red Keep, and the idea that maybe the Unsullied this is the Unsullied getting into a secret way through King's Landing instead of Casterly Rock. But either way, they could get this information from Tyrion. Tyrion knows Casterly Rock really well. He could tell them, hey, there's a secret way. You can get in this way. Mm-hmm. But so would Varys. Varys would know secret passages.
More so at King's Landing and Casterly Rock. Although Varys has a pretty broad network of spiders, right? He could know some secrets of Casterly Rock too.
So, do you guys have any thoughts on that? Which ones do you got? What's your pick? Do you think it's Casterly Rock, King's Landing, or maybe something else entirely?
I think it makes more sense to be Casterly Rock. I don't think that it's going to be King's Landing in this specific instance. I think that strategically it would make sense to take something like Casterly Rock, and I think that given what we know about Tyrion's backstory, about how familiar he is with the sewers and the drainage system there, I think that he having some real way in could be a huge asset and an easy take for the team.
And here we have an image that I think backs this theory up, which is when you see this shot in fast motion, it looks like a bunch of Unsullied breaking through a gate. But in slow motion, it's Unsullied opening a gate for the other Unsullied. And the Unsullied who are opening the gate don't have shields, they don't have spears, they look like a commando group, whereas the ones they're opening up have their full gear, have the spears and their shields and everything, whereas this other group, they're more lightly armed. So now that could still be King's Landing. They could be opening up a door to let these other Unsullied in King's Landing, but I'm definitely going to say Casterly Rock. That's my guess.
One of my thoughts was that, well, I have a series of thoughts. One is, it'd be awesome to see Casterly Rock. I think that'd be neat. And they have, I feel like, hit up pretty much every other significant location. Even some not so significant locations without getting Casterly Rock. So it makes sense for them too. And strategically it does make sense for a battle to go there. But there's no definitive thing we've seen so far like, oh, that's it, that's Casterly Rock. They haven't made that clear. Now, they might not want to make that clear. They might want to save the surprise. So I can see it going either way. But since there's nothing clear to make it Casterly Rock, it makes me lean towards King's Landing.
Okay.
Okay, cool. Well, we'll have to see. That'll be neat. Okay.
You're probably right.
Let us move on. Okay, so I think that's our last image from the Casterly Rock scenes. Now we're moving on to something interesting here. There's a lot of, this is also in the top 5 most confusing, maybe the most difficult to discern what's happening here. Someone big, I think, it could be perspective, drawing a sword it sort of looks like an arena setting. There's just a Lannister guard standing in the distance, just standing there calmly. And it's, there's like some ridges around them. It's not like a Coliseum or anything. I don't see any crowd gathered. So, but it's the prevailing theory is that that's Sandor Clegane and that he's getting ready to fight his brother. Can we get hype about that possibility?
Is it okay if we do?
I think so. Let's do it.
We don't normally record on camera, so come here, Strike. Come here. Get hype about Clegane Bowl.
So you're not used to drooling during not worrying about that? Oh, look at that.
Are you hype? Are you hype? Good. Get down.
Even Strack loved Clegane.
He knows how to get hype.
He
It's like a
heard
certain way.
about the hounds. He's like, what, me?
That's true. You know, honestly, his favorite scenes from Game of Thrones are anything with Ramsay, because Ramsay usually has dogs with him, and he's just always like watching the screen because they're always barking.
Was he jealous when the other dogs ate Ramsay? Was he like, I want a bite of that too?
He was. Yeah. I almost said something worse, but I'll leave that. Anyway, Clegane Bowl get hype.
We know what you meant.
2K17. I mean, this is the dream.
It could really be happening.
It's one of those things where it's like, is this something that, because I've been saying get hype for Clegane Bowl since, I don't know, 2011, that we're just trying to like seek it out. But I don't know. This time it's pretty convincing.
Yeah.
I used to say it before I knew what it meant. You know what I mean? So,
Wait, you didn't know
yeah,
what
safe to
meant,
say.
or
Clegane Bowl. Safe to say, I'm so fucking here for this. Let's do it.
So
We're selling shirts. We have Clegane Bowl shirts at Con of Thrones in the merch place. I was like, we're doing a Clegane Bowl shirt.
I'm
So
gonna be wearing
on
one of those for sure.
Can we
Yeah.
set the image up, by the way?
Even if you wanted to point something odd about this image.
It seemed, look on the left side there. That at first to me looked like part of the structure in the background, which also at first to me looked like something built, but now looks maybe more part of a mountainside or maybe some mix. It's really hard to say. But that structure right in the left, I thought was part of that background, some sort of tunnel coming out. But now looking at it real close, it looks like a crate.
Yeah, there's even a plank on top.
Yeah, and maybe it's a platform, and
if you can ship an imp, maybe you can ship a hound.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know how far my mind is stretching to explain.
Yeah,
this
it's
image,
really weird to think that that's what's happening, but
think about how wide the hound is in this moment. What's the timeline? How does he get here? When does he get here?
yeah, like at the end of season 6, he's like, "Yep, we're heading north." So what is he doing there? Yeah, that's why I picked this as a top 5 most confusing image.
I wonder if he could be a Trojan horse of sorts, something being carried in a crate as a gift or just supplies or something. He burst out all of a sudden to fight his brother. How does he know where he is?
Yes, it's a little vignette for us, like a little aside of like, he's in the north doing his thing up there because we've seen him the rest of the time we've seen him in the trailer. He's been obviously in the north. We get like a quick little aside of a fan favorite moment, and then we just like head back to the storyline.
Back to the rest of it, yeah.
One thing I mentioned at the beginning of this is there's a chance that that's not him. Do you guys think there's any chance that's not Sandor?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, I do.
I don't want to talk about it though.
I know. Honestly,
If it's
until
not,
it's
who is it
yeah.
though? Who would that character be?
It doesn't matter. If it's not Sandor, then
we're all mad.
Yeah.
If it's
I
not
mean, it's
Clegane
gonna
Bowl,
be-
we don't care.
If it's not
I really
Scottish,
want
it's
Clegane
Crow.
I wonder if Gregor will know that it's Sandor that he's fighting,
Oh, maybe.
How aware he is, even. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
It
here's
won't matter to Sandor.
Here's a question that we got in our last Q&A. There was a book Q&A, but it absolutely applies here, or could apply here. It's worth asking since we're talking about the mountain that rides Gregor. If the walkers can control undead beings, could they grab control of him?
Yeah.
Right might be why they need to be put him down. That's why they become urgent. Maybe Cersei is dead. Maybe they're just out. Maybe the Lannisters are done, but the mountain is still rampaging across the countryside, just killing things. Just someone needs to stop that thing. It's just he just doesn't have a master anymore. Maybe Kyber.
He just went back to what he knows.
He also might be taken out in battle with Jaime. Maybe he's part of the force on the field.
That would be useful.
Yeah.
It's like just everybody get behind him and let him go first.
It'd be like having the giant in the north.
It would be exactly like that, pretty much.
Wow.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, that's kind of neat. So, good ideas there. Okay, so let's see here. Let's start going to just. Is there any more? I think we have no more. I don't think we have any more shots. So let's talk. Let's just take some questions here. We've got plenty of questions left. Maybe we'll go for another 20 minutes here or so, and call it a night. But we definitely have some good questions. So let's get going here. Here's a good one. All right, so let's circle back to Dany and Jon. Now, the reason we would mention Dany and Jon is because from the other trailer, it really sounds like Dany is making, or which maybe is that this trailer? I forget. One of the trailers, Jon is like, our families fought together. That is this trailer.
That was
This one.
Yeah.
We're talking about our families fought together for hundreds of years. He's probably talking to Dany there, but maybe not. He could be talking to the rest of the North, but I don't think so because the North is already like declared like declared for him. So, and from the first trailer, we've also got shots of what looks like Davos going to Dragonstone, and maybe Jon is with him. So there's a lot to talk about with that. First of all, this question from Lady Mikkel of Moonacre, leader of the Werewood Protectorate Alliance, a lovely name.
That is a lovely name.
She proposes 2 scenarios. What will be the impetus for Dany to get to Jon? The two scenarios are: Dany enters Dragonstone and finds the old letter from Mormont begging for help, left there by Stannis when he departed for the Wall. That is a great idea. A really good idea.
That is so cool.
But there's another, even more, perhaps simpler explanation. Because also in the first trailer, we see Melisandre at Dragonstone. Melisandre could just tell Dany about Jon, and that's that. I think that might be a simpler explanation. But, what do you guys think? I think I favor the second one because we have confirmation from the first trailer that Melisandre's there.
Right.
That's a whole other question. What is Melisandre going to do? Like, Davos isn't like her. She's bad news, and Dany isn't going to be cool with, child burner.
Well, Davos isn't necessarily going to be there to tell her. But by the time Dany encounters Davos, she might have already been won over by Melisandre.
That's true.
Right. Or have already interacted with her in some way.
Or Davos might even be killed before Melisandre ever gets to Jon.
Because Melisandre might just flip out when she meets Dany, being like, "Oh, you're the one I've been looking for. Oh my God, I've been looking for you. I thought you were Stannis, and whoops.
Turns out you're a girl."
Yeah.
Should have known.
That's definitely going to be I'm very curious Melisandre's reaction to meeting, assuming they meet. I think they will. It really looks like they'll be at the same location, so yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if
also
what
Dany's
sort of religious advisor Dany is bringing with her in the first place. I wonder if some other Red Priestess will be coming along with Dany that might know Melisandre.
Yeah,
that could be interesting too.
That would be very.
I was going to say, I think Dany's the kind of person to kind of draw her conclusions about someone by herself, not based off of other people's opinions. So I feel like
I agree with that.
You know what I mean? Her there with Melisandre, I think that since they're both vastly intelligent, I think that Dany's going to be able to relate to her. I just don't see her casting her out. You know what I mean? But I don't know. Maybe it's kind of hard to gauge because I've never really thought about those two characters together until I saw them.
And that's a great way to put it. That it'd be hard for her to cast her out. That was how Stannis felt. Stannis he had to know on some level that she was bad for him politically, but he figured it was worth it because she's just so powerful. Her
power had been demonstrated.
Yeah, that's an even better way to put it. Her power had been demonstrated.
Commitment to, I guess, her loyalty or whatever, devotion.
Yeah. Even if Stannis didn't believe everything she said, you're right. Her power was, she clearly had some.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Here's a question from Tracy Frey. Oh, sorry.
I still wanted to say, by the way, thinking about who Jon was talking to about the families fighting together, if that was Dany, I still think that's going to be much deeper into the season, maybe the end. But I also think it's possible that he still could be talking to some other families in the north. It's one thing for them to all swear allegiance to Jon. It's another thing for them to maintain allegiance with a zombie army in front of them, right? You might have to reinvigorate their commitment.
Yeah.
And you might also have to win over other families who aren't even in the north, right?
You know what? That makes a lot of sense. I think you're right. I think what we're seeing, just dawning on me now, I think what we're seeing is I think the Dany-Jon stuff is going to come after his journey to the north to have this big fight and where he barely escapes. Or has this experience, because that's when he's going to be. Because otherwise, where's the help from Dany in those scenes? She's just or we're thinking she's just nah, I'm not going to help you.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious because I'm not totally, I'm not totally convinced that Dany's going to be concerned or worried about what's going on in the north when she may be more focused on what's going on in King's Landing. And so I was almost wondering if Dany, if it's kind of the other way around and Jon's the one who's asking for help or who's coming to Dany looking for something.
That may be another key part of Melisandre's role too, because remember, Melisandre told Stannis, she's like, "No, forget that other stuff. We need to go north." Right? She immediately saw that as the real threat or danger. Dany might show up, win her battles, or plot out and win her battles for a while, and then move on to what Tyrion's advising is: you got to figure out how to rule this land now that you won the battles.
And then
here comes Jon saying, "Oh, wait for that. We got to make sure the land is safe first."
Speaking of ruling the land,
and she's like, "No, I got to do what Tyrion said. We got to get the families united." And Melisandre would be like, "No. Let me tell you."
Yeah, that'd be interesting. We have arguments between Tyrion and Melisandre. That'd be interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, even Tyrion knows it too. He got the same letter requesting help in the north, but he kind of knew he didn't have I don't
Like,
know,
he kind of
enough
dabbled.
equity to do anything about it.
Yeah.
He brought it up. He read this letter, and everyone's like, silliness in the North. And Tyrion's like, okay, fine, I'll set this aside for now. I do have other troubles. It's not that Tyrion doesn't think it's legitimate. He just knew he couldn't actually do anything about it, so he tried to work on what he could do something about.
Here's another little thing to consider as far as timing. I'm piecing some more things here as we're talking about it. Okay, so what we just figured out. If Jon comes to if Jon comes to Dany after he's had his jaunt in the North, that fits because it's after he's really shown how dangerous things are, and plus the whole problem of Dany not apparently helping him. It would make sense that this would all happen after they both had their early season experiences. Let's say Jon is fighting north of the Wall. He's gone north with his companions. Maybe he deals with these wildlings also, or whatever it is. Meanwhile, Dany has her Field of Fire. She takes Casterly Rock, perhaps. Does these other things. But King's Landing is where this gets a little tricky.
Mm-hmm.
Because Jon is clearly coming, and Davos, this messenger, comes to Dragonstone, not King's Landing.
Right.
So either Dany has not taken King's Landing yet by the time this happens, which is very interesting because why would she not have King's Landing? Or she just is deciding not to rule from King's Landing, which would be an interesting decision. She might just be like, okay, I'm gonna keep my seat at Dragonstone, but that would be weird.
A risk.
That's
risky.
weird.
I can think of a reason to explain both those.
Okay.
Taking King's Landing would destroy King's Landing.
It might, especially if you use your dragons.
Right?
Yeah.
Exactly. It's just not worth it. And what's Cersei going to do for King's Landing? They'll just hold out. Just like Dragonstone held out in the rebellion. Right? Cersei can try to hold out, but she'll be surrounded by the Navy. She'll be dragons. The farmers. They'll just put her off as not being able to affect things and not being a priority given everything else. And Dragonstone could serve as a capital. You see, I think there's enough reasons why it could play out that way.
Okay.
I like it. Yeah. Okay. Next question.
China could take Taiwan, but they would destroy Taiwan. It's just not worth it.
Yeah, that's a good parallel. Okay, good question from Steph Q. From Steph Q&A. What reaction will Sansa have to Bran's powers? Good question. Yeah, that's going to be freaky. I think Bran's powers are going to freak a lot of people out. Like, not just Sansa, but Sansa, and maybe more than others, because they're like, whoa, this is my brother. But, also just reacting to him still being alive. Like, this is just a general reaction to Bran and his powers. That's a lot of questions there.
Right.
Sansa's seen enough. She's been around. I don't know if she'll be that surprised. She's seen... Wait, did Sansa ever... Sansa never saw... what's the new Gregor? What's his name? Robert Strong?
The Robert Strong.
Never saw Robert Strong.
She's gone.
No.
I think it depends on what Bran ends up doing or being or how he uses his powers. I think that's a lot hinges on that for me personally.
Generally, Northerners are more acceptant of this type of thing in the first place, though, right?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, there are more,
But if he's caving into a way that we don't like, I just don't see him doing that on purpose, though, Hannah. You know what I mean? Like, we mentioned that he would do it on accident, which probably has a lot to do with the White Walkers movement, which is going to be a exciting thing to see. / it's also a shame that it's happening at all. But yeah, I don't know.
I like that idea of Bran maybe making, causing harm by accident, which he's already done. He already
Exactly.
That theme of his power being dangerous.
I don't think he has like malice.
But once again, a lot of it is kind of parallels Luke Skywalker. Like, he wasn't properly trained. His training got cut short. He's just starting to dip into the potential of his powers and loses his mentor. So he is more likely to misuse it without trying to end up hurting someone.
Yeah. Here's two more correct questions related to each other that take us back to Dragonstone again. Melisandre doesn't appear in this trailer. What is she going to do this season? And from Amanda L. and from Carol Funk, yes, Aziz, what is Mel doing? Was she there at Dragonstone before Dany got there? That's an interesting consideration. That's where she runs off to, and then Dany arrives there, and Melisandre's already there.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder why Melisandre would go there. But maybe because it's the volcanoes. I don't know. She's, Red Priest. She wants to be around the heat. I don't know. Just to go back there.
She may have had a vision. She may have just had a vision.
Maybe she left some stuff there. Yeah.
It's just a place that she's familiar with. I mean, she's not really familiar with a lot of spaces in Westeros, and so I think that that's probably just like the first thing. I mean, she's is riding off having been sent away by Jon. Where else is she going to go that would make sense for her? And I think that for her, that's a familiar
Disney
place. Yeah, I mean,
Well, we know a lot.
Or she knew to go there.
Well, one thing that we might have to consider is that she says to Arya that we will meet again. And so that's got to happen at some point.
I was
Yes,
sort of
they
assuming
could
that she
just
was going to
throw
run
that
into the
away.
Brotherhood without banners. That Sandor and the rest of them are heading north. She's heading south. I
yeah.
thought they cross paths. And they still might cross paths and in her head on to Dragonstone from there.
And Arya did have Melisandre on her list for a while. She took her off the list. We don't know why, but from season 4 to season 5, her list shrunk by half for no apparent reason. But there you go. But Melisandre was on it. Okay. Here's another question, but a comment. Big E. I just pictured Davos sitting in Shireen Baratheon's old room. Man, that is a downer, isn't it?
Yeah.
But a good comment still. I do think Davos would have some. I do think there's a good chance there's some nostalgia moments from Davos there and some sadness. Okay. Liat Rubenfield. What will Varys do this season? Good question. We haven't seen much of him. He's barely in the trailers at all. At one point, you can see him standing behind Dany, but that's it. I have a tough time with this. I don't see a lot of what Varys will do. Do you guys have any ideas on what he'll do? Helping her rule a little bit, but seems like, boy, that's going to be Tyrion's job.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that he'll be doing a lot of swimming, and B, a lot of working with the like he said he always wanted to do, which was work with the other houses locally and try to turn people to the Targaryen cause, the Queen's back, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean,
right?
he did work with. We did see him in that final scene working with Olenna and the Sand Snakes, and like, hey, join Team Women and no penis.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Varys, Theon, all the Unsullied.
I'm disappointed by this because I do like his character, but I don't expect to see hardly any of them.
Yeah.
Generally speaking, his role has been sort of a behind-the-scenes collaborator of the houses, right? And at this point, everyone's already lined up. You know what I mean? What kind of collaborations are they trying to make anymore?
There is less room for intrigue now. It's more about open war and things, just resolution of plot lines that have been building for a long time. You're right. This is less about the Game of Thrones and now just open war, lots of fighting, and yeah, I agree. There's fewer factions
to end Game of Thrones.
Yeah, there's like people that haven't taken sides yet and before. Now everyone's like you said, everyone's on a side now. Yeah. It's not. Maybe Varys will try to get someone to flip from one side to another, that kind of thing. But even that is might be a little too much for TV.
Hopefully he kills Littlefinger.
I tell you what I would like to see is for Jaime to be captured and Varys to have a scene with him. I'd like to see for Varys and Jaime have a conversation much like Varys and Ned's scene.
That's cool.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
Also, if we're talking about people we want Varys to talk to, Arya, Sansa, Jon.
That'd be neat.
It's a long list.
He might have some info as well, right?
Also, I'd like to see him talk to Ghost. Honestly, personally. I don't know.
Here's a question from Tracy Frey Van Winkle. Does Sansa repeating a Ned line give you hope for a little Stark vengeance meaning against Littlefinger? Yeah, I think we sort of touched on that earlier. And yeah, I mean, I think that is one of the major things hanging over Peter's head that could undo him is that the knowledge that he betrayed Ned. It's definitely not a sure thing that information will come out. But as we said before, there is a way for that to happen, Bran, and maybe another way that we haven't considered. And there's almost no way that won't be answered. If Sansa and Bran, with Bran there too, I mean, Bran's going to be at Winterfell too, and maybe Jon. Like, all of them might find this out. They may all be confronted with, hey, this guy is why Ned Stark is dead. And then Littlefinger, nothing will save Littlefinger at that point.
Oh, no.
I tell you, though, I think it's... I could be wrong. I'm not very confident about this, but I think it's at least it's interesting to think about Littlefinger not being caught in any way and continuing to climb up the ladder. You know, like to whether he's pitting Sansa against Jon or sending Jon, hey Jon, you're actually the true heir, and maybe pitting Jon against Dany, or Dany and Jon rule Westeros together, and at least Sansa by herself in the north with Littlefinger manipulating her. I can see him still coming out on top of all this. This is pretty chaotic. This is what he thrives in. So
that's true. That's a really good point, Sean.
It is.
That would be more interesting if he didn't just kind of fall to the side. If he kept kind of being Littlefinger.
Yeah, I mean, what's going to be more chaotic than all this that we're seeing? Like, everyone fighting and like, yeah, you're right. That's a good point. He does thrive on this sort of thing.
Yeah, he does.
I just want Sansa to just take him out, though. You know, I can't help it. I can't help it.
Him, like, not even like send him to be executed, like actually physically stab him herself. That would be something.
I can't help it.
I think Sansa is the person who I want to win. Whatever that means exactly, I think I want Sansa to win the Game of Thrones. You know?
Me too.
That would be cool.
Me too.
It could definitely go worse than Sansa. We could definitely pick a worse figure to be in charge of at least a lot of the survivors, whoever they are. Well, shall we move on to the awesome Game of Owns tradition of doing owns? I think we've covered all the questions now. We've got a few left, but I think we basically answered them because they're similar to other questions. So apologize if we missed any questions that we didn't already answer, but I think we got them all. So how about that? Want to move on to the owns?
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, you guys take it away.
So what do you guys think? Well, what do you think? I mean, for us, owns started, back in the day because we wanted to make a little fun situation where people could tell us their favorite. I think like for us, when we talked about Game of Thrones, it was more like we would talk about the highlights or like someone did this or someone said that and it really stuck out to us and we just put we talked about it today, Aziz, we put this ridiculously weird name on it. Didn't really think people would listen and now they are, and now we really can't. It is. But it's we just at a certain point in the episode, whether it's a chapter discussion or read through A Feast of Dragons or whether it's during the season or during trailers and stuff like this, we just talk about our favorite moments and we ask the listeners to do the same, and they've written in, and I'm curious to know what all of you like. What do you think?
I'm gonna go with my own is gonna go to Jamie for making me fear for his life. He's the character I'm most worried for.
That's gut-wrenching.
A lot of characters I think are on the chopping block, but he's one of the most obvious and the one of them that I would actually care about. So I mean, Cersei's. I'm not going to cry when Cersei's gone. I'm not going to cry when Jamie's gone, but I'm going to be like, man, she really had that coming. And Jamie's it was funny is Jamie is culpable of so much of what Cersei's done. He's continued to stay behind her, but human emotions and what we like and don't like doesn't always make sense.
No, it doesn't.
A lot of the most recent stuff she's done, he's not. I mean, I guess he's staying behind her, but he wasn't part of the plan to blow up the Sept.
Yeah,
he had no idea. And I think
that.
he would have stopped it if he was there and aware.
Right? You might be right about that. Mm-hmm. What's your own then, Sean? Do you have one?
I think it's Sansa. I think it's the quote, Littlefinger.
That slow walk.
But fight all the battles in your mind. Don't. Yeah, I think the mix of the image of Sansa and Littlefinger's advice, I think, was mine.
Right on.
That's good.
That's pretty good.
Mine. I'll go next. Mine is also Sansa, which I think the people who listen to our podcast, people who listen to Game of Thrones are not surprised because I'm a major Sansa apologist. But her line, the Pack Survives line, I just had to sit on the floor for a little while after listening to that. I'm just really excited about her growth and her in this, what she's capable of, and we've talked a lot about her and Littlefinger and the rest of her family, and I just felt like the trailer ended so perfectly with the way she delivered that line. So own to that. Right
on. This is really hard for me, so I'm gonna give two owns that aren't my own, that are they're built in. You know what I mean? Ramin Djawadi for the score, The Light of the Seven. Yeah. That's everyone's, and also just to the trailer itself for just really being next level. I think they brought it, for as much as we're all looking forward as a community and people even that aren't listening to these podcasts or going to the convention, they did a good job, I think, hitting bases for us and bases for the people that don't know the intricacies of the lore. And I mixed that in with a bunch of just action and payoffs that we expected. Like I said, I didn't expect to see until, season 8, or at least during the season. I got to see weeks ahead of it, in the trailer. So that was pretty cool. But my own of the trailer simply goes to Beric Dondarrion and Lightbringer. Just so cool. Honestly, what was that?
Amazing.
How did he do that?
And I was tempted to do that, to call that one as well.
So cool.
In season 2 or 3, he lights it with his blood. Like he lights the sword with his blood, but he did that time. It just ignites. He just holds it up.
He was in action mode. The Lord of Light was tapping into him. You know what I mean?
I can never get my sword of light on fire.
Yeah, at least not right when you want it. You're like, ugh, you have to like really. Anyway.
Is that a euphemism? Is that a Viagra?
I thought that's where he was going with it. I don't know.
Getting my sword up.
Comedy.
Well, when it's that cold in the north, like
Yeah.
There you go. Bringing it back.
You need something to light your fire.
Well, we have these owns from people from some fans. You guys have these on your screen. Do you, Zach and Hannah? Do you want to read these?
Oh yeah, we got them.
Okay, yeah, go ahead, read these. Then.
Well, here's how we do them. You guys want to read them with us? We usually just go person to person.
Okay,
and
sure.
we read off their things. Yeah. So, you want to start it off, Hannah?
Yeah. Oh yeah, Hannah, go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, I can go first. Let me see. So first off on Twitter, we have Daryl who says, "My own goes to Drogon's smile. That smile you make when you're about to throw down on serious meat buffet. Hashtag, oh baby, I have my own hot sauce."
Can you imagine what an actual meat buffet, the appropriate size for a
It'd be a field of cow.
Yeah, it'd be a bunch of living cows. It was like, bro, you cook it yourself. Like, yeah, you do cook it yourself.
I can go next. This is Akash Singh, who writes, "My own goes to Ramin Javadi for sending chills down my spine for over an entire year."
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll do the next one. We have Jen Calhoun. Own to Arya, who is definitely wearing the Hound's face and is in the dragon pit about to cross the mountain.
Oh my!
That
explains everything.
Prove me wrong. You know, it's funny. Some people thought that was Arya, like just because the angle is so hard to tell. It's like the camera angle. It could be. It looks like a large person, but from the camera angle, it could be somebody else. But
there's a lot of theories about who Arya is in this trailer, because I also was reading one about Arya standing next to Bran. So.
All right, Sean.
Okay in OK says, "Own to Clegane for bowl."
Well, that is concise and to the point, and on target with what we were just talking about.
Next, we've got Molly Reesley, who says, "My own goes to the Game of Thrones marketing team for finally getting it right and making Sansa the trailer's focus." Hashtag Sansa fierce.
Yeah.
Jasmine Booth writes, "Own to whoever made Bran a wheelchair. Took 6 seconds, and I'm sure Mira's like, are you fucking serious? That's all it took."
Okay, Andrew Lowe says, "My own goes to Old Nine Lives himself, Beric Dondarrion, and Lightbringer? Question mark. Hashtag, I get knocked down, but I get up again."
Okay, we've got John Webster. Is anybody really going to give their own to anybody other than the flaming sword wielding Beric frickin' Dondarrion?
Okay, so he is winning the owns so far.
Next, we have Russell P, who says, "Own to John with the trailer's last shot, looking like a true general, king of the north, impossibly the warrior of light. Hashtag winter is here," and a bunch of great emojis.
Yeah, there's like a Night's King and a direwolf and a snowflake and some cross swords. Yeah, those are
on point
emojis.
Joel Sheridan writes, this is in quotes, "Lone wolf dies, but the pack survives as John rides away, hurt from the white fight. Hashtag chills, but not from the cold."
Oh, man.
Nice,
Also
nice.
white fight.
All right, from Rune Fier. Hopefully I said that right. Own to Creepy Peter. Next time I rewatch that shot, I might just start laughing. Yeah, him just looking around the corner. So perfect for him.
Winda the White Fawn. Own to the Light of the Seven for continuing to be the best piece of Thrones score and always giving me chills.
That is not the first person to mention that. So yeah, Ramin Djawadi is kicking ass.
Very true.
As we could expect. Jenny Burner on Twitter, "Sansa with that classic line, when the snows fall and the white winds blow, the lone wolf dies, but the pack survives. Hashtag pack reunion."
And there's a wolf emoji. I don't know if it came with the hashtag or not, but that's cool.
Yeah.
Mafirva, "It feels like cheating, but all of it. From Beric and his flaming
So you're
sword to
reading this
Jaime
one.
charging the battlefield to Sansa repeating Ned's words."
Yeah. From Big Blue Kool-Aid, Brandon, his new old friend and medieval Professor X chair.
Yes.
That's a good way to put it.
Yes.
It is a nice looking chair. You know what? I think that's why they had to kill off Doran Martell, so that his wheelchair could be sent north. Because it's a Valyrian steel wheelchair that there's only one of.
James Carson. Jaime Lannister riding on that horse, ready to unleash hell.
In all caps.
Yeah, hashtag who needs two hands.
Next, we're going to move to Facebook. We have Ashley Green Richardson, who said, "I feel afraid, very afraid. Where is Sam? Is something going to happen to Drogon? Why does Sansa look so suspicious? What is the growling creature the walkers have? Who is the old man at the werewood tree? So many questions.
Right on.
Sorry, Ashley. We should have got to you earlier.
Yeah, so we didn't answer any of those questions.
Jay Calder. Did anyone notice how much Sansa looks like Melisandre in the opening shot and the red puffiness of her eyes as if she was crying? Hashtag shit's about to get really real.
That is a good point. She did look like maybe she was about to cry or had been crying. Yeah.
It looks like these have degraded into just general comments of emotion instead of owns.
They're still entertaining, however, so
They
we'll
are
keep
very
going. Chris C. Holly. I may have yelled loudly at the screen once during that trailer. Okay, 5 times. Don't judge. Okay, no, we're going to judge. We're going to judge you well.
Yeah.
Yes.
Only
You're
5
welcome.
times? Get with it, man.
Yeah, come on.
Max Fetterman, owned to Barrett for inventing the Westerosi lightsaber.
Star Wars one.
What's that?
So Sean got the Star Wars
Yes,
one.
Sean.
I know, it's perfect.
It's
perfect.
You got a Millennium Falcon right here.
That's so
Yeah.
cool. I've been staring at your shirt this whole time.
Destiny.
Next is my favorite one that we got this whole time from David Sulio, who just wrote hashtag that song.
So true.
This is from Nobody Ever. Those shots of Drogon in battle are amazing, but I'm really looking forward to watching Game of Thrones handle the battle at sea. It's something new for Game of Thrones. We've seen dragons and White Walker and Cersei's smugness before. ...
That's true. The only real sea battle we had was the dragons burning a bunch of ships. It wasn't ships versus ships. It was ships like, oh crap, what do we do about this? We can't do much about this. That's a great point. From Joey Catnese, so many feels. Ned saying from Sansa really gave me hope for her decisions. Excellent.
Nerdflix and chill. This may be the best trailer Thrones has ever done.
Aw. Well,
And
thank
we
you
all
guys
have
for.
high notes.
I feel like Ashaya, even though you're technically handling a lot of stuff, you should like shout us your own from this trailer. What was your favorite part of this trailer?
My favorite part was seeing Jamie on his horse going through the field. I mean, assuming it's him and it looks like him.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Jamie's rampage is Ashaya's own,
It
in
just
case you guys
looks so
couldn't hear.
apocalyptic.
It does.
Oh, it does.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
It really
tragic
does.
Looking, yeah. That's
Yeah.
why it gives that feeling of Jamie's last charge. Yeah, really. Oh,
Yeah.
boy. Let's not go back to that, though. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I guess that covers it for everybody. Thanks for everyone who came live and participated in asking us questions and helping make this trailer discussion extra fun. Obviously, thanks to Hannah and Zach. You guys were awesome. We really had fun doing an episode with you guys.
Yeah, I know we've
Yeah.
been planning doing something together for a while. I'm glad that the trailer happened like it did, and it was
Yeah.
able to happen this way because it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's been perfect. Thank you guys.
This was like trailer was like a minute and some seconds.
2 minutes.
Two whole minutes.
Come on.
Welcome to my life, Sean.
Okay, so
Yeah.
we got 2 hours of discussion about a 2-minute trailer. Is every episode coverage going to be like an 8 hour? How many minutes?
I
is
mean,
that?
we do a lot of episode coverage. We
There
all
are
do.
over 100 hours of programs at Con of Thrones. Think about that for a second.
Yeah, that's a good point. Well, to mention Con of Thrones one more time, all of us will be there. We really hope to see you all there as well. And both Game of Thrones and History of Westeros have active Patreon campaigns. We usually do shout-outs for patrons, but since it's a guest episode, we won't get into that this time. But check both of our Patreons out, and if you feel like helping out, do so. We've obviously got a lot going on during the season, so it's definitely jam time for us all. We'll be having a lot of fun, and we hope you guys are going to be with us. So I guess we could sign off. You guys have anything else to say? I don't want to speak for everyone.
No, just it's been really great, and thanks everyone who's participated, and it's been really fun to hang out with you guys.
Yeah, thank you for having us. This has been a lot of fun. And thanks to everyone who's been watching live and chatting along with us. I've been trying to keep up, and everyone seems really smart. And please listen to both of our podcasts. Listen to all the Game of Thrones podcasts, you know.
Yes.
And if you're not coming next week, we'll be releasing stuff from Con of Thrones, and it'll be featuring all of those shows and many extra other people. So it's going to be cool.
And if you are there, say hi.
Yeah, you know.
Yeah,
you know what
Sean's
we
going to be
look
there.
like.
Sean,
You
you're on
know-
a bunch of panels, but this is going to be this is going to be a good time.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Okay, well, Valar Morghulis, everybody. Valar season 7 is not long now. So we'll sign off until the next episode from Game of Thrones and History of Westeros, whether together or separate. We'll see you then.
See ya.
Bye.
Hey, Aziz, is it Game of